I look so pretty right now. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to get ready with you and talk to you really quickly about some personal stuff. I want to talk to you about things that I have really never talked to a lot of people about, but I have made a movie about. Let's see here. So, I grew up in a family that was pretty much torn down the middle. Growing up, even in kindergarten, I was attracted to the black race. So, in kindergarten, I had a friend. Her name was Monet, and I would always want her to come over to my house and play. Okay, so I didn't understand racism back then, and I had my mom braid my hair in little braids, and I didn't understand why my mom would always say that she could not come over until my dad was gone. Like, I just thought it would be easier. My dad was gone, so my dad didn't have to deal with kids, whatever. So, not until later on in life did I realize how racist my father was. Like, when he would come home, the garage door would open, and you would hear his footsteps coming up the stairs. And you knew at that point, if you had the Cosby Show on, or if you had anything that had a black person on TV, you needed to change the channel immediately. Immediately. So, that pretty much was me being raised. And I remember one time being at a grocery store and my mom telling me something about black women. And I think my mom just fed off my dad. And, at one point she did stand up for different races and stuff. But when I really felt my father's racism was when I was 15. Okay, so I knew he was racist. I knew he didn't like people of color. I didn't know why, and I never asked him. We never talked about it. It was just like this thing that existed, but we just never talked about it. So one day, my friend, I was 15 at the time, my friend invited me, and I was dumb enough to go with her to a place that was not where I was from, and I knew nobody, and I went with her and a bunch of other people to this place called Nebraska. So I went with her, and I was 15, again, remember this, and we were at a college in Nebraska, and I didn't know who these men were. We were drinking, and I pretty much passed out halfway through my cup of whatever I was drinking. I have no idea. And I just remember being brought into a room, and they turned the music up really loud. I don't know if this is going to help. But anyway, I was raped multiple times by multiple people. And coming back to Wyoming, I honestly don't know how I made it through. I'm making light of it right now, but I think that's for another story. Anyway, I ended up going back to Wyoming after it happened and telling a friend of mine that I was going to commit suicide. I forgot to put this on. So I told her that I was going to commit suicide, and she told the principal, so all this stuff. So I had to tell my parents what happened, and that was probably the hardest thing to do, was to describe to them what happened and to describe to them that it was a black man who did it. So, my dad and my mom sitting there in the principal's office. I'm describing to them what had happened, how each man came into the room, how each man raped me, how I don't remember a lot of what went on, and how I woke up with no panties on. I just woke up with a t-shirt on. And remember, I'm 15. So these men raped me. I don't even know who they are. But in the principal's office, I'm sitting there and being very vulnerable, being very, very vulnerable. And my dad looks at my mom, looks at me, and he says that I am no longer his daughter, that I deserved what had happened, and walked out of there. So he left me and my mother. My mom takes me to an emergency room to check to see if I'm pregnant, to check to see if I have STDs, to check on all this stuff. Meanwhile, my dad is irate. So, the next 4 years of my life, from 15 to about 19, my dad and I did not speak. My dad, I would walk past him, and he would say how I deserved it, that I was an end lover, that I will never amount to shit, that I will always be on welfare, that I will always just basically be nothing. I'll be nothing in life. And every time I went downstairs, there was a hallway that I could bypass my dad and not see him, or I could walk right by him. And I would always take the hallway to bypass him and not see him. I mean, this went on for 4 years of my life. So I also remember before that happened, I had a friend of mine driving my car because it was snowy out and I wasn't good at driving, and he was black, and my parents happened to drive right behind us and of course see him driving. So they tried to chase us down, and they couldn't. My friend lost him, and then I had to drop him off and go home. I literally beat my parents home, and I tried to pretend like nothing happened. My dad came in and literally he was very verbally abusive. He tore me into two. How dare you have that, driving my car? How dare you have him in my car? So obviously I lost my car privileges at that time, but I never understood why he was so angry. So angry. He's always angry about something. So he's a Vietnam vet, and somewhere when he went into Vietnam, his racism began. Something happened, someone did something, I don't know what, I don't know when, but to this day, I've tried and tried and tried to be somebody. I feel like I'm not that person to work a 9-to-5, just because I am so entrepreneur that I want to be out creating, or I want to be out doing my own thing. So 9-to-5s are hard for me. I do real estate, I do photography, I do some other things, makeup and stuff. But his words that he spread into existence years ago are so hard to fight off. Like the whole you'll be nobody, you are nobody, you will always be, you'll never be loved, nobody will ever love you because of what happened. Those words are hard to fight off. I've been engaged. My fiance actually died in 2010. I've been in relationships. They haven't been healthy at all. And I feel like it's a continuous cycle that I am in. And I mean, I can't blame all of it on my father. Of course I can't. I have to take responsibility for sure. But I just don't understand his racism and where it comes from. But what I do understand is that he's a human being. And that we're all we're all not perfect. Nobody is. So that's where I'm at with. But now, actually, when I was engaged in 2010, it was to a black man. He was well educated, articulate, funny, spunky. He was a father, he was a college grad, he was everything that like a parent would want for their child. Like everything that caring, giving, just everything. And I remember having to call my father because my fiance was just like, I'm not going to be your secret. Like, if I had it my way, I guess I would have kept him a secret and had, kept everybody happy. But that just isn't fair to anybody. Oh, great. I just broke it. Sorry about that. So anyway, I ended up calling my father and telling him that I was engaged. And I knew that once I said his name, because it's not John or Tim or Bob, it was definitely a name that would give it away for my father. And of course he had a hissy fit. He was very angry, very upset. I think I told my father that I was engaged to him, I think like 2 months before he died. So I'm glad that I did tell my father that I was engaged to him and that it was either he made a decision to be in my life and be okay with who I was choosing to spend my life with, or he was not okay with it and he could just be out of my life. I think a couple days after my fiance died, my dad finally called and sarcastically, it wasn't an apology that you would ever expect. It was an apology that I never thought I would get, so I kind of just accepted the nonchalantness of it because I didn't want to argue. At this point, my best friend had died, and your apology sucks. But it's an apology that I never thought I would get. So I accepted it. And after losing my fiance, I think that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to deal with. Just because your hopes and your dreams and your, all this stuff that you thought was going to happen just is not going to happen at all. And you can't make it happen. You can't call him and say, I'm sorry or whatever, like you had a breakup or you have to be okay with it not going any further. So that was probably the hardest thing I dealt with. But knowing that, I think what my fiance came into my life for was to bring my father and I closer. We have a really good relationship now. I live my life now where I feel like I'm living safe, quote unquote, to where I don't fall in love, so I don't have to deal with it. Which is not fair to me or to anybody else. My makeup is making a huge mess. Sorry. So, anyway, that's my story in a nutshell, and I'm actually having a hard time now, just kind of, maybe I do need to deal or seek assistance in helping my body heal so I'm not continuously getting these men that are no good for me. Like, so weird. And my lighting right now sucks, but whatever. So I'm getting ready. I am a realtor as well. Getting ready to go do an open house. So, have any of you experienced racism or have had a racist father or dealt with racism? I would love to hear your stories. I'm not good with the eyebrows, putting them on, so I have to be quiet. And I probably will fix them when I get done here, because they always look horrible when I do them via my phone. I cut myself or something over here. It's kind of annoying because I have to like draw on it and it's like a scab. Just remember, when you're doing makeup, you're drawing with a pencil, not a pen. So you can always go in and erase it. It's funny because I actually now live with my parents. I help them out with things and vice versa. But like, I just heard my dad's voice, and like as a kid, hearing his voice would always upset me. Like, I would always just want to be away from him. crazy. But at the same time, I'm very grateful that we were able to have a relationship and that, I don't know, actually, I'm surprised that I didn't kill myself at the age of 15. Like, I was so sad and so depressed. I felt like everybody at school knew I was raped, but nobody did anything. I felt like everybody was talking about it. One girl in particular, Sherry Henderson, she was supposed to be this Christian girl. She would call me every day and threaten me and tell me how disgusting I was. And I can't imagine living with like Facebook back in my day, because I got made fun of a ton because of the fact I was raped, in that, all this stuff. People are so mean. I took out all my anger on soccer at the soccer fields. Because I couldn't take it out anywhere else. It's good for now, right? I couldn't take it out on anywhere else, so I'd always get yellow cards in soccer. I'd always get red cards. I'd always be fighting somebody. What the heck? Where did that come from? I got a little dirty on my hands. As far as racism goes as well, when I was playing soccer, one girl in particular would call me a wigger. She tried to drown me in the pool when we would have soccer practice in the pool. God, they were so mean. When I think about it, these people were so mean. And we didn't have, anywhere to go to. Bullies back then were bullies, just like they are today. She would try to drown, like she would push my head underneath the water and be like, "You're such a wigger," and blah, blah, blah. And then the men would make fun of me because they would say that, they would just basically say that no white man will ever be with me because I was with black men. Trust and believe that if I could change the color of skin I was attracted to, I would. Like, I don't know why I've always been attracted to black men or the black culture. I don't know why. I was always trying to be a different race. I don't know why, because it wasn't easy growing up. Obviously, I'm not married. I'd go into work and people would drive by me and they would call out, the N word and say, "You N lover." Or I would just have so many people make fun of me. And I was just like, what is wrong with you people? Like, why do you feel the need to be so hateful? And like I said, I cannot imagine being a part of Facebook now. Like, back in the day when I was younger, for people to have access to me like that would have destroyed me. I mean, my home phone was enough because I'd get phone calls and hang-ups and people telling me that I should die and that I better not press charges on these men that raped me at 15. I better not press charges on them because they have their whole lives ahead of them. They're football players. Their lives mattered more than mine. This is what I used to put my phone in until I just dropped it and broke it. Like, it would sit right in this little finger. Oopsies. Get the other part. I'm warming up water to put my mascara in. Warm it up a bit. So, let's see, what else have I experienced in this lifetime? Racism is no joke. It's just like, it's a pigment of a skin color that's darker or lighter than somebody else's. And it's not like people can choose what color they are. Yes, we can get tans and blah, blah, blah. But it's just a pigment of somebody's color of their skin, and we hate them for that. It's just insane. Insane. And I thought it would be better, but it's not. If I go into a restaurant with a black man, it's not better. I get stared at, I get glares. I hate eyebrows. I wish my eyebrows would just grow in. Alright, so let's finish this up and get going. Remember to twist and not pump your mascara. Because if you're pumping it, you're allowing air to get into it. See how much better it just applies just putting it in hot water. I also remember one time I was driving my car, and I was going to lunch with one of my best friends, and he was black. We never did anything. We never had sex. We never did anything. And my dad pulled up behind me. Of course, I lived in this small town. And he lost it again. Like, I got home and he just lost it. I mean, the words that would come out of his mouth, no child should hear. I could not believe that he could talk to his child like that. I remember my mom asking him if there's anything that he loved about me, and he said no. Like, they were screaming at the top of their lungs about me. They're always fighting about me. And my mom asked him, and he said no. There's nothing I love about her. And I literally ran out of the house. And if there was a car to run in front of, I would have run in front of it. I was like, these people would be happier without me. My sisters are closer to each other. They don't need me here to make everybody miserable. My sisters are much closer to each other than I am to them. So it's like, I don't need to be here to make everybody's life miserable. So I'm just gonna walk in front of a car. I'm just gonna take my life some way, somehow. I don't think I'll ever tell anybody if I do. I'll just do it where nobody will know. Nobody will ever know. So that's just what was my thought process. Like, these people would be better without me. They fight over me. So why not just end everybody's misery? Alright, I'm done. I'm going to brush my teeth, fix some stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining me and getting ready, and story time.